I spent years thinking I was too busy to delegate until a simple 15-minute based exercise completely transformed how I do everything in my business. And it's funny because most entrepreneurs live inside this concept that they have too much to do, that they're overwhelmed, that they're underwater. But here's the truth. Until you understand in reality what you're actually spending your time on, delegation is just a fantasy. So let me explain what I mean. A few years ago, I was working with a client who was absolutely convinced that she couldn't delegate anything in her business. She would say, I'm just too busy. Everything needs my personal attention. Does this sound familiar? And when we actually did a very simple time audit that I'm about to show you how to do, we discovered something shocking. She was spending over 15 hours a week on tasks that weren't even moving her business forward. I mean, that's insane. So in this video, I'm going to show you how my proven delegation strategy that has helped hundreds of entrepreneurs break free from overwhelm and finally start letting go. This process that I'm going to walk you through is the exact process that I use with my high-performing clients, including the time audit result system that reveals exactly what you should and shouldn't be doing. And don't worry, this is not about delegating everything. This is about being strategic with your time and energy so that you can focus on what truly matters to your business and to you. Before we dive in, I should mention I have spent the last 3 decades helping successful entrepreneurs transform their business through strategic delegation, through mindset transformation, through vision architecting. And what I do with people is I empower them to be unmessable with no matter what circumstances they're dealing in their life or their business. So I'm about to share something that is not just theory. These are battle-tested strategies that have actually helped my clients reclaim minimum 20 hours per week while growing their businesses exponentially. So point 1, the reality check, the time result audit system. What's fascinating is people have no clue what they're actually doing on a day-to-day basis. They live in this concept of being too busy or overwhelmed, but they can't tell you exactly where their time is going. That's why the first step in my delegation strategy is something that I call the reality check time audit. Here's how it works. For 2 weeks, you're going to track every single action you take and every single result that it produces and whether it gives you energy or sucks your energy. Okay, I know this sounds completely overwhelming. Like I have no time to do that, right? But trust me, this is a game changer. So I'm going to show you why. In each block, you're going to write down 3 things. 1 is the action you're taking. So for those 15 minutes, maybe it was checking emails. Then the second thing that you're going to write down is the result that it produced. It cleaned out 30 emails. That might be the result, right? And then the third thing you write down is whether or not it gave you energy or sucked your energy. I have my clients do a color-coded version where red is the energy suckers and green is the energy giving activities. And if you're doing something for an hour, you can just put little quotes like ditto, ditto, ditto. I did this meeting for an hour. So in those 15-minute blocks, you're going to have multiple things that are duplicated. But I recently had a client, a very successful business coach, do this exercise. And she was convinced that she was spending most of her time on like high value activities that generated income. But when she looked at her time audit, we discovered she was spending 4 hours every day managing her inbox and social media tasks. That was draining her energy, and it could easily be handled by a VA for a fraction of what her time is worth. So point 2, you want to identify what there is to delegate. So once you see the reality and the patterns of where your time is going and whether it's giving you energy or sucking your energy, that's the time to make some strategic decisions about delegation. So my framework for identifying what needs to be delegated is the following. First, look at all the red, energy draining activities. Anything that is sucking your space, you need to get rid of that stuff, reassign it, delegate it to somebody else, or take it off your plate completely. These are your first candidates for delegation. You want to ask yourself, okay, is this task actually producing revenue in my business? And if not, it needs to go to somebody else immediately. And I'm talking about things like basic admin tasks or email management or calendar scheduling or social media posting, even personal tasks like laundry or grocery shopping. If this is not giving you joy, bye-bye. So I'll give you like a real example. One of my clients who was spending 3 hours every week scheduling her own appointments, managing her calendar. When she delegated this to a virtual assistant in another country for $7 an hour, she freed up those 3 hours to make client calls, which generated an additional $3,000 that month. That is the power of strategic delegation. Then the point 3 is there's 3 levels of delegation, okay? This is where it kind of gets interesting. Not all delegation is created equal. I mean, hiring somebody to do your laundry is different than hiring somebody to do your marketing. These are actually 3 different distinct levels of delegation, and understanding these levels will actually transform how you look at what it is to let go of, okay? So the first level is low-level tasks. These are like basic operational tasks that don't really require specialized knowledge. Think about data entry or basic admin work, or maybe research. These can often be delegated to overseas VAs at very reasonable rates. One of my clients hired a VA in the Philippines for $500 a month, who now handles all her email management, all her social media, all her calendar scheduling, all her bookkeeping. I mean, that's a lot of value for $500 a month. And she got her energy back. Level 2 of the delegation process is mid-level operations. So these are tasks that require some expertise. So it's not low level, it's mid-level, but they aren't core to your business strategy. So it could include creating content, right? It could include customer service, invoicing, basic marketing tasks, scheduling social media posts, could be bookkeeping even. And for these kind of tasks, you might hire somebody local. You could also hire overseas VAs, but you might want to hire somebody local who's specialized in those areas. Now, level 3, which is more strategic activities, these are high-level tasks. They directly impact your business growth. While you might not delegate these entirely, you can often bring in an expert to help you to produce higher-level results with less of your time. So could be somebody that helps you work on high-level strategy or key client relationships or creating partnerships or joint ventures, business development, sales, things like that. You might want to bring somebody in. They might require a bit more training to speak in your voice and really be aligned with your company's values. But those kind of hires are going to free you up to do the things that only you can do. Point 4, the implementation strategy. This is the 30-day delegation plan. So now you've done these other points. You see what's sucking your energy. You see what's giving you energy. You see what you can delegate, the low level, the mid-level, and like the more strategic levels. But now how do you make this happen? I have developed a 30-day implementation plan that works like magic. So the first week is you document, okay? You take your time audit results and you create simple standard operating procedures for your most time-consuming, energy-draining tasks, okay? Just start with one thing, though. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just start with one task that you can delegate and come up with a checklist or an SOP that you could train somebody else in. I recommend doing videos, even screen sharing, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel with every person you bring on your team. Then week 2 is the team planning. So this is where you start to identify what kind of help do you need. Do you need a VA? Do you need a specialist? Do you need a house manager to come and manage all your personal stuff so that you're freed up to work on your business? Who knows, right? But you want to calculate the budget that you have for this person or these people that you're going to be hiring, and start writing job descriptions. You can, of course, have AI help you write these job descriptions. If you make a list of tasks, then you can ask Chatty Cathy to write a job description. Then the third week is the hiring process. So you're going to post the positions. Maybe you're doing it at Upwork, maybe you're doing it on Indeed, whatever platforms, maybe it's LinkedIn. Post the positions, interview the candidates, and make your selection. Do not spend more than a week doing this. You could spend a year looking for the right person. Your job is to hire somebody within the week. Then the fourth week is the training and the transition part, where you start with one small task, you give them the SOP and the checklist, and gradually increase responsibilities as they start to perform and meet the expectations of the output that you're requesting. You need to be clear in your communications though, because if you just say, here, get this done, and they don't know, they're not in your brain, you need to put your brain on paper or on video so they know what you're looking for. So you have the highest opportunity set for success, and so do they. So the key, though, is to start small, because like one of my clients tried to delegate everything all at once and it was a disaster. So we had to scale back and follow this kind of 30-day process. And then she was able to successfully transition like over 80% of her admin tasks to this new person that she hired. And that was within a month. 80% in a month, that's a huge energy saver and time saver. So here's the thing about delegation. It is not just about freeing up your time. It's about creating space for creation and growth and innovation and actually enjoying your life. You know, you became an entrepreneur so that you can have freedom, and you end up as a prisoner of your own creation. So unless you are related to the reality of what you're actually spending your time on, then delegation just remains something that's like out of reach. It's like a total fantasy. Start with the time audit that I told you about, and be honest, be brutally honest about what is actually moving the needle in your business and what is just busy work. You know, you have busyness and you have a business. Which one are you going to focus on? Then use the 3 levels of delegation to strategically start letting go, releasing the addiction to doing it all, so that you can actually move into a space of having it all. If you found this helpful, you're going to love my next video. It's all about avoiding burnout and overwhelm and freeing yourself to live from your vision and creation.